G'day, Wednesday 25th of November. Time for a weather chat. I had night shift last night. I was looking after Northern Territory. I was actually training a new guy, and it made me think about how, really the most important thing is to not get too lost in all the details and the information in the models, but just to think about weather features and think about things really broadly. And let's talk about what we can see here. So we've got this amazing cold pool of air the size of Australia moving over from the west. Ahead of it there's some strong northwesterly winds putting some wave clouds over the Tasmanian mountains. In here we've got some pretty dry air. We might suspect a high pressure system, and here you can see a dry line, a boundary of the moisture with the clouds on this side, and there's actually quite a lot of storms developing as well. Up here you've got some cloud coming through after yesterday's southerly change came through Brisbane. We went kiting, it was pretty windy. And over here we've got some rotation into a low pressure system off New Zealand. As air tries to flow in, it gets turned to the left by Coriolis. So we've got this flow from the east, which is putting clouds on the east side of the mountain ranges in New Zealand. And up in the tropics again, we've got some storms here on the sea breeze convergence up in the top end, and some more storms inland. But this one here is a classic spot on the Dampier Peninsula because you've got sea breezes coming in from all sides converging into a good place for storms. Yeah, so plenty to look at, and it's a good way to try and identify weather features. And then the next step is to check out the map and see how well you went. So yeah, we got the low pressure system, the high, the trough with that dry line, and the cold front. Pretty good day for identifying features, really. This is one of my favourite forecasts because it gives you an idea of what's going on in terms of the high pressure systems, and found out a Thalweg is a trough. So we're talking French. You can change to English if you want to make it boring, but what I really like is it's got winds at different levels, in the valley level, the mid-mountain and the high mountain, and temperatures as well, which give you an idea of instability, and it just describes what the weather's going to be. So clear with sunny close to 100%, and it also even gives you an idea of the uncertainty. So it says the later part of it's going to develop is quite uncertain, and have you got that down here as well? Yeah, it talks about the probability that they've got their forecast right. So, oh no, I'm talking about something else. Anyway, learn French. So this is the New Zealand one. They don't really talk about the synoptic situation, so you can pinch that off the Aussies, go to the synoptic chart, or they do have their own somewhere on the website. But yeah, what I really like is it talks about winds at different levels, and it gives you an idea of the instability. It's just a couple of simple things which give you some good clues. Now, often I halve these because this is a little bit pessimistic. It basically caters for winds getting channeled through coals and downdraft winds and stuff like that. So I think the free wind tends to be about half of that. So if it was up to 50 k's an hour, I would entertain flying, but that's your own decision making and your own ground truthing of what you experienced to what was on the forecast. So here's a forecast for how the situation is going to develop in the next few days. So I'm often looking for that New Zealand. You see the weather, the isobars tend to congregate over New Zealand. It's a pretty windy place, but try and find a time where there's a high that drifts over. And before I go to windy, I just wanted to talk about this. In America, like not just Colorado but the other states, they have what I think is really good. It basically is describing weather features, and it has some technical terms, and if you want you can click some of these blue things and learn more about what they're talking about, the jargon. But I think it's a much better way of thinking about the weather in terms of, so what I'm saying is look at the features, look at the broad scale. So windy is fantastic because it has all these features and it's worldwide, so you don't need to have a good meteorology agency in your country, but you don't have the descriptions. But maybe you can try to learn how to figure it out yourself. So yeah, we've got satellite data, and another thing that's really good to nowcast, see what's happening now, is radar, if you have it. There's nothing hooked up for New Zealand. Oh, I clicked the wrong button. So that is a bit of a forecast field there. Weather radar. So it's quite good in Australia. It shows all these storms. You can see these little white flashes for lightning, and it's great to see what's going on now and to get a feeling for the type of rain. Like when there's little dots like this, it's little cells of convection. That's like an unstable pattern. Sometimes you can get a broad area of rain, which is it really, in meteorology we call rain something that's over a broad area, and showers something that's more convective like this. Right, so you can switch from satellite. I should have probably done this in a different order. But after you've tried to identify the features on the satellite picture, and you can also look at the infrared, because that gives you an idea of how cold the tops of the clouds are getting. So up here in the tropics, all these storms are getting really high, really cold tops. But down here, behind with all this cold air coming through, the cloud is actually really low because it's quite dark. The dark means it's warmer. See, it's dark in Australia where it's just sunny on the ground. So warmer means lower, and that means this cloud is quite low. So that shows that the air above is cool and sorry, not cool, but dry, which is good for paragliding. And tomorrow I'm wanting to go paragliding in Brisbane, and we've got this dry air moving up, and that's good. So let's check the synoptic situation. Oh, internet, yeah, filmed in Australia. So if we click this pressure button here, we get the isobars, and yeah, you can see that high pressure system I was talking about. So you can also see that the flow of air is bringing up cooler, dry air through interior Australia where there's no clouds, and on the other side we've got this air from a tropical origin coming in to feed all those storms. And yeah, it's a great way to look at air masses. You could probably muck around with the humidity if you wanted to. Also, I like to bring it up to 900 hectopascals because that sort of looks at the free air rather than the stuff that's constrained by local influences such as katabatic winds and valleys and yeah, smaller local influences near the surface. So yeah, we can probably just chuck humidity on, and gives you an idea of different air masses. So yeah, look at the weather features and try and figure out the relationship between what you see on the satellite and what's actually going on. I mean, it's pretty amazing that with Windy you can find something that you want to look at. Gosh, it's a bit slow today. I feel like I'm going to crash the computer or something. Yeah, I'm not sure if I should have done that. Maybe I can go back to wind gusts. Wind. Dead. There you go. This computer's getting a bit old. Kill. Right, let's try again. How embarrassing. Oh, look at all these new features they have. Right, so I suppose I'm going to look at the forecast for tomorrow. So there's quite a few isobars there today, quite a bit of wind. Let's go back to wind, it's on humidity. Yeah, so it's green, is a bit of wind. If we go to tomorrow morning, this high pressure system is there and there's light winds. There's actually a bit of a squeeze between the high and the low here with winds coming through here. And if we want to have a closer look at that, we can just drop a sounding through it. And we can see, if we zoom in, that those winds are kind of concentrated just at this height here at about 1,000 meters. It's lighter winds above, and it's just doing all kinds of different things up there. So that's actually a low level jet. That's something that I'd never heard of before I did the meteorology course. But if you spend a bit of time hanging around Windy, you can find out and discover all these strange and wonderful things. So there you go.